This is a cuckoo bird. The very same kind of bird you'd expect to come out of a kitchen clock in a 1970s cartoon. For the cuckoo, this female in particular, love is tricky. In order to attract the man of her dreams, she's got to sing the right song, picking from her repertoire of dozens, put on her best feathers, and wear her nicest bird perfume if she ever hopes to stand toe-to-toe with the rest of her competition. Once a mate is secured and the dirty is done, love is tough. Her Prince Charming flies away, never to be seen again, and our bird mother-to-be is left abandoned, having to fend for herself and for the little baby cuckoo she's carrying inside her. Only she doesn't. You see, cuckoos are what's known as brood parasites. They rock into other birds' nests while they aren't home, push out their eggs and substitute in their own. In bird culture, this is considered to be a dick move, but you know what they say, all's fair in love and war. Also, bird child support is getting pretty expensive, so our cuckoo mom does this devious act with the sole intention of tricking the rightful owner of the nest, the host mother, into taking care of her cuckoo babies. Now, understandably, most host mothers don't take too kindly to this sort of thing, and they try really hard to identify and oust the intruder egg. Over time, cuckoo mothers develop more and more sophisticated camouflage tactics to try and slip in their eggs unnoticed, and in direct response, host mothers come up with better and better ways of detecting intruders in their nests. For the sake of their beloved children, the two bird mothers are forced to engage in an evolutionary arms race against each other in a high-stakes game of wits, trickery, and deception. Yes, for our two bird mothers, and very much for the anime we're talking about today. Love is... Kaguya-sama is one of my favorite slice-of-life rom-com psychological animes of all time. The show centers around two high school lovebirds who really like each other but at the same time don't have the guts to ask the other out. It's a tale as old as time, and like many a great story, it lives right on the border between reality and fiction. Half relatable because we all know what it feels like to have a crush on someone in high school, and half fictitious because, well, in this case they actually like you back. Anyway, the show's main selling point is this cute, will they, won't they love dynamic between our two main characters. But instead of admitting to their fear of rejection like self-aware human beings, they spin this half-baked narrative where they convince themselves that the first person who confesses their love to the other loses power and becomes the reacher in the relationship when the two finally get together. Yeah, it's crazy what hormonally charged adolescent minds can come up with, right? Totally dumb and absurd. Or is it? You have a test in the morning that you don't feel completely prepared for. It's the last one this semester, but it'll make or break your college applications. A lot is riding on this test, and tensions are high. Your Asian parents are highly invested, and you really don't want to let them down. Or else. But, deep inside, you just can't shake this feeling that you're gonna bomb. If you pull an all-nighter and study your ass off, you might just make the cut, you reckon. But you're not sure. What do? Do you stock up on a 6-pack of Red Bull and work tirelessly through the night? Or do you just say, fuck it, and go party with your friends who are already done with their exams? A study conducted back in the 70s by Jones and Burglas found that students with a precarious but not entirely negative sense of self-competence faced with this kind of scenario would tend to pick the latter option. That is to say, if the student in question felt insecure about whether or not they would be able to achieve the grades they needed to please their over-expecting parents, they'd more likely do things to impair their own performance on the following day's test. This effect, known as the self-handicapping effect, happens because it gives the student that's handicapping himself something else to blame in case he performed poorly. Nah, I didn't fail that test because I wasn't smart enough or anything. I just got drunk at a party the night before, so that kinda screwed me over in the morning. And in Shirogane's case, nah, we're not in a relationship because she rejected me. We just never really talked about it. Because once you put your ego on the line and decide to give that test your full 100%, if you do eventually bomb, then who do you have to blame except yourself? Instead of existing comfortably in this perpetual plane of plausible deniability, maybe she likes me or maybe she doesn't, you're forced to settle into one outcome or the other. Which is great if she does like you, but not so great if she doesn't. At least for your ego. So it's this fear of rejection that causes Kaguya and Shinomiya to handicap themselves, preventing them from ever taking the leap of faith and asking each other out. But we're missing the point here. There's a bigger and more important question to be answered hiding right in plain sight. Why do we fear rejection? I mean, if we didn't fear rejection, life would be a lot easier, right? We'd have no problems confessing our love to our crushes, we'd be more outgoing, more sociable, and have more friends. So at first glance, it seems like being afraid of rejection makes no sense and has zero utility in the real world. But actually, we humans use our sometimes crippling fear of rejection as a gauge for subtle changes in our social climate. What I'm saying is, Kaguya-sama's Love is War is onto something. Just like the show supposes, when we confess our undying love to the prettiest girl in class, there's an invisible power shift that happens in our social world that sets off our anxieties. You've just shown your hand, put everything on the line. You're now more naked than a newborn baby, metaphorically speaking. What if she doesn't like you back? What if she tells her friends? The more you think about it, the worse it gets. Ridicule, humiliation, and shame. These are the things that are waiting for you if she decides to abuse the power you yourself gave her through your confession. And if she decides to pull a dick move on you, then your entire social life can devolve into chaos overnight. In 1998, William Samuelson and Richard Zeckhauser found through a series of experiments that people disproportionately preferred maintaining the status quo over breaking it in a wide range of scenarios. In a term dubbed the status quo bias, very straightforwardly if I might add, people were found to more likely order the same dish they've had before when eating out over trying a new one, prefer medication they were used to taking rather than upgrading to a more effective alternative, and stay with suboptimal insurance plans they've had since a young age instead of switching to cheaper plans with more coverage when presented to them. To the researchers who discovered the effect, this news was shocking. I mean, food-wise you like what you like. But why wouldn't you want to upgrade to better medication for your health, or switch to a more cost-effective insurance plan that gives you better coverage? Well, it's because you've gotten used to your old stuff. And I don't mean that in the sense that you've developed sentimental attachments to them. I mean that you can comfortably understand the limits of what you can and can't do for your insurance to pay you out. That you know what side effects your old medication will specifically have on your body. Sometimes, it's just not worth the hassle. Why risk ordering something new you might not like when you can be 100% sure that you'll enjoy your old favorite dish? Why sit through the long and arduous process of reading and comparing insurance plans when your old one works just fine? Do you really want to put yourself through all that pain just to save a couple bucks a month? Meh. When you're operating in that familiar space, you have a high degree of certainty of how everything works. But when you decide to break the status quo, that certainty quickly turns into uncertainty. And when that happens, you have to spend time and energy confronting this uncertainty and relearning how this new space works. And that's hard. That's tiring. And most of the time, we just don't have it in us after a hectic, busy day. Now, armed with this knowledge, we can start to see why high school students prefer the familiar status quo of their social lives and opt not to rock the boat with a romantic confession that could very well backfire on them. I'm fine with being single, as long as it means I don't risk becoming a social outcast. And this dynamic is brilliantly captured in the anime we're talking about this video. Kaguya-sama's Love is War built an entire series around this half-rational teenage fear of rejection and the consequences that follow. It's silly, it's over the top, but it's hella entertaining. I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely keeping up with this absurdly fun anime this season. So yeah, that's about all I got. See you next time.